Well, hello. It's time for another exciting episode of Pens in Use. This is the show where I talk about the fountain pens and inks that I've been using throughout the week. And it's been a few weeks, so we'll talk about that toward the end. But first, let's look at some pens. If videos like this interest you, where I talk about fountain pens both new and old and at all price points, I would invite you to subscribe. And I'm just curious, where do you fall on the hobby thing? Do you monetize them? Do you give away your work for free to friends and family? Or do you do it when the mood strikes you? Let us know down in the comments. Alright, so these are the pens I've been using this week. So from left to right, we have a Lamy 2000 in the amber black finish. We have a Geha. Sorry, drew a blank there. Geha 722. We have a Lamy 2000 in the Macrolon finish. We have two Pilot Custom 823s. We have a Visconti Gold Point number 1, which I originally purchased because I thought it was a Visconti Opera Elements Air, but it is the same finish, just some different accoutrement. We have a Parker Ellipse. We have an Aurora style. And we have a, Pilot Justus 95. So my vintage pens this week are a little slim. The ones that are no longer made are this Geha 722 from the 1970s. This Visconti Gold Point number 1 from probably 2000 somewhere. And this Parker Ellipse from the 1990s. As always, I will be doing my writing sample in this Cognitive Surplus journal with the seafood flavored cover. It is worth noting that I haven't done a pens in use since January 14th, and I'll get into that at the end of this video, but I apologize for that, and I think next year I'm just going to take some time off during this really busy time. So my first pen is this Lamy 2000 with the amber black finish. I wish you could see the reflections of the lights on my walls as this very shiny clip reflects all over. But I just can't capture this pen on video. I can't explain it, but it is really cool, and it just feels so good in my hand. And, all that would be secondary, except it feels so good when I write with it. I'll also note during my video review, I mentioned that the ears were lined up exactly 90 degrees to how they are now, and the section here was a little loose. Alright, so, Lamy 2000. See, gotta rotate it because it's an oblique nib. Lamy 2000. Amber black. With an oblique broad nib. And the ink in it is Rohrer and Klingner. Verdura, which is kind of a cartoonish green, but I like it. So do the downstrokes, the cross strokes, the diagonal strokes, and the perpendicular strokes, which was totally off screen, but I don't look at the screen as often as I should when I film these. My next pen from the 1970s is a Geha 722. This pen actually spent a few months living in my sofa because it fell down into a pocket inside the sofa and I couldn't find it. And couldn't believe I'd lost the pen, which Yeah, but very unassuming black pen with an oblique broad nib. So let's compare two oblique broads. Let's do this. The hard start was my fault. So Geha 722 with an oblique broad. Extra parenthesis. Diamine. Ancient copper. Which, if you put it in the wrong pen, turns into a crustalicious extravaganza. But not in this pen. This pen handles the ink very well. So, vertical strokes. Fills it out nicely. Horizontal strokes. Fills it out very nicely. Diagonal strokes. Ooh, some flex there, but fills it out nicely. Much thinner strokes that way. And of course, the perpendicular strokes all look the same. Now I thought I should bring in my Lamy 2000, my beloved daily writer pen. And this pen ran out of ink this week, well, last week actually, and I thought, let's use up a bottle of black ink. So I filled it up with Parker Quink washable black. Parker Quink black, not washable. Because I was kind of curious. And I just thought to myself, let's use up some bottles. I like this ink. This may well become my daily writer ink after I use up that entire liter of Pelican 4001 washable blue. But anyway, I just thought, use up a bottle of ink. So we're using up Parker Quink washable black. Parker Quink black. Wow, I keep calling it wash. I can't spell either. I keep calling it Parker Quink washable black because, well, Parker Quink washable blue is just kind of a thing on this channel. If you follow my first impressions. So I need to do some revisits and some reviews, so you don't think that all I use is Parker Quink washable blue. But anyway, very nice black, kind of a fun one with paper chromatography. My next pen is one of my probably my very first luxury pen. Didn't buy this with channel income because there was no such thing back then. This is a Pilot Custom 823. The amber finish. And interestingly, I have a discontinued ink inside of it. So the Pilot, make sure it's on screen. Pilot Custom 823 has a fine nib in it, and the ink in it is Iroshizuku Tsukushi. And this is one of the inks that Iroshizuku has discontinued. And I'll be honest, it's a nice brown, but I don't really care. It's not an ink that really calls to me one way or the other. It's nice enough as a brown, but I was very slow getting into brown inks because, okay, a little bit of language here, but I've just always associated the color brown with fecal matter, and I just can't get excited about browns. I've been branching out, I've been trying them, but then I look at them and I think fecal matter. So I don't know why that weird quirk is in my brain, but I kind of struggle with brown inks. I have another Pilot Custom 823 that I purchased more recently, also with my own money, not channel money, which should tell you what I think of this pen, because this is outside my usual budget for a pen if it's not using channel money, but I like it so much. So this is, again, a Pilot Custom 823, but you can already see the difference. This one has a broad nib, which definitely has some flex. And this one has an Indian ink, and it has Krishna, Writer's Night. You know, if they would have called it Winter's Night, whatever. But by calling it Writer's Night, I'm like, oh my god, that is such an evocative name. You just think of a writer at night, and he's, or she, they're up late and they're just thinking, and stories are flowing through their brain, and yeah, it just, wow. So I really like this ink. I don't even know if objectively the color purple in it is that special, but wow, that name is so evocative. So, years ago, Stephen Brown reviewed a pen. It was a Visconti Visconti Opera Elements Air. Oh, yeah, I'm getting reflections on the wall again. And it had this exact finish. The difference was the Opera Elements Air had a metal section, and I think it was a little smaller, and I feel like it was not a cartridge converter. I feel like it had a built-in converter, or built-in something. But I don't care. I am so happy I own this pen. This is gorgeous. And the writing with it isn't bad either. This is a pen that you bought me. So we've got the Visconti, not Opera Elements Air, which my original review, I called it that. Instead, this is actually a gold point. With an E, number 1. And it's a medium nib. And the ink in it is Colorverse Interstellar Space, which to me should be an absolutely jet black ink. So why is it green? I don't know. It's one of the bottles of ink that I'm just honestly just trying to use up. There were 4 inks in this series. Some of them, 3 of them I absolutely love. And then there's this one where I'm just like, gotta use it up. So, yeah, this is one of my targets for using up a bottle of ink. Okay, then my next pen, the absolutely gorgeous Parker Ellipse. I love that finish, even if there's a hole in it right there. But beautiful. So the Parker Ellipse. This pen tends to write very dry. Not something I'm particularly a fan of, but probably I can work on it, make it a wetter pen. But anyway, Parker Ellipse, medium. And the ink in this puppy is Pilot, not Parker, Pilot blue-black. Why? Well, I like the ink. And I have a bottle of it that I think I can use up pretty easily. Overall, a very serviceable blue-black. Is a nice version of that genre of inks. And the nib isn't bad. This is honestly kind of a daily writer pen. I like the fact that it's a snap cap, and I don't know, it just looks good. My penultimate pen, not to be confused with Penultimate Dave. It's the Aurora Style. This pen somehow screams to me 1960s. But it's gorgeous. Not one of my favorites in my collection, but I keep inking it up because I like it. I just love how it looks. Had a discussion with my Italian foreign exchange student about fountain pens. I even gave him one of my fountain pens. I gave him an Aurora, not an Aurora. I gave him a Pilot Prera that I've had for years and haven't inked up in years, because I knew it was a good pen, and I thought he'd appreciate it if he likes fine writing instruments at all. But anyway, this is the Aurora Style. The ink in it is Rohrer and Klingner. Scabiosa, which is one of their drawing a blank here, sorry, help me out. Iron gall inks. But anyway, he told me that Italian fountain pens are very, very expensive, and he can't afford them. And, he's right. Look at the offerings from Visconti. Look at the offerings from Aurora. Peniter. Trying to think of the other fountain pen makers. Anyway, they are all luxury pens. And he's right. Normal people can't afford most of them. This is Aurora's most affordable option that I've seen. Steel nib, plastic body, no fancy resin. But definitely not the cheapest puppy in the world. Alright, my final pen comes to us from Japan. Kind of an engineering marvel, the Pilot Justus 95. So, how did I do it last time? Did I even review? Okay, yeah, I didn't even. Alright, so this pen has actually been inked up, and I have not used it in a long time. Or maybe I've inked it up since the last time I did pens in use. So anyway, Pilot Justus. Alright, so this pen has a little adjustable wheel. We can make it hard. So this has a fine nib on it. Oh, see how I don't have the flex now? The ink in it is Murasaki Shikibu. Forgot the I. And let's dial it back to get the full effect as we do the ink swatch. So, I don't know that dial really does much, but I know it does a lot for how the pen feels. When I used to use a pen to do everything in my teaching instead of, tablets and such, I preferred to do math with it dialed up to hard. But then if I'm writing, I wanted it soft. So as far as me, it does something. As far as the writing, I don't know. Some of that looks pretty dramatic. So make of that what you will. I love the pen, but I freely concede that the whole thing is a gimmick. Alright, so I was doing laundry earlier and kind of half paying attention and half not. So laundry's pretty mindless, so I had YouTube running. And this article came on YouTube. It was a woman was just berating this school board. And she was all upset. And yeah, I know you're scared I'm going to get into the book bannings, but I'm saving that for a driving video. So she was... So this is a little funnier. She was all upset because apparently this school, in one of their... Well, school district, in one of the schools in the district, had a litter box for children who are furries and identify as cats and dogs to use. And I stopped doing my laundry. I said, what? So I put 2 links down below. I put one from a reasonably local news source and then one from the New York Times that adds a little bit more detail. Of course, no school had a litter box for the kids to use who identify as furries. That's just crazy talk. But the big thing here is a little larger than that. Because this woman ranted and raved at the school board. Apparently this school board videos all of its meetings. So they videoed her. She's out there with her name and face on this rant about these litter boxes for kids. And then chairwoman of Michigan Republican Party, Michonne Maddock, shared the video on Facebook and commented, "Kids who identify as furries get a litter box in the school bathroom. Parent heroes will take back our schools." And a little firestorm descended on this school district. So then the superintendent, which by the way, Midland Schools in Michigan, the superintendent had to send out a letter to parents. And it begins with, "It is unconscionable that this afternoon I am sending this communication." The superintendent of Midland Public Schools, Mike Sharrow, wrote on Thursday in an email to parents. "It is such a source of disappointment that I felt the necessity to communicate this message to you." Of course there's no litter box for the kids to use. What a stupid story. And this woman failed in one fundamental area. Fact check, fact check, fact check, fact check. Find out if it's true. Now, what if she were to go in and say, over there at Cloverdale Elementary, in the 3rd floor bathroom, oh, but no, she heard a rumor and went nuts, didn't bother to stop and think, really? Didn't stop to fact check, didn't stop to find out. She just went blasting it in public. And this woman at the Republican Party of that state didn't say, "Well, that's kind of weird. I better fact check that." Nope, she went ahead and shared it before she knew if it was even true or not. And that's one of the weaknesses of social media, is you get this stuff out there without all the vetting and fact checking. And I'm not saying regular media isn't guilty of that too. We could talk about that kid from Kentucky and the Native American drummer and that whole debacle. If they would have fact-checked that, it turned out to be a somewhat less interesting story. Did not fit well into any kind of stereotypes. And, it was just more complicated, but they didn't fact-check it. And, a bunch of people went with a story that just wasn't true. So, it's easy to fall into that trap, depending on what your biases actually are. So I'm bringing this up partly because I just thought that was hilarious, and it just shows the need to fact check stuff before you share it. Because I'm about to do something I don't normally do. I'm going to share a story from Reddit. Now, I'm not a big Reddit person. I'll go on there 2-3 times a year. It's just, there's nothing there that interests me. I know there's fountain pen stuff and all that, but I don't know. I don't have time. And, yeah. Anyway. So, anyway, a lot of stuff there needs to be fact-checked. You've got all these anonymous people posting things. I read a really interesting article written by a medical professional. Never mind, we don't know where they live. We don't know who they are. We don't know if the story's true or not. Why did I read that story? Because news media shared it, and I thought, wow, if that's true, I gotta put that out there. Yeah, I don't know if it's true or not, so I didn't bother sharing it. And I've run into a few things like that, so basically I don't pay attention to Reddit. But this story, if it's not true, it's so low stakes I don't feel bad about sharing it, because the bigger concept definitely is true, even if the particular story is not. So this hobbyist baker was being asked to bake for random, and I did put a link to the Reddit down below, being asked to bake for random friends and family. Now, she enjoys baking. It's something she does for fun. She'll just show up at the office one day. Hey, look at all the stuff I baked you. Oh, yeah, and I decorated it too, because, that's what I do. And, but see, the thing is, she likes doing it on her schedule. Oh, this week I got that report for the Johnson department ready to write. I guess I'm not going to bake anything this week. That kind of thing. But people would bother her to bake. She had friends and family would always, oh, my son has a birthday, and would you just make one of those precious little cakes you make and decorate it all like a little basketball, because my son loves basketball, and, use your creativity. And so she started thinking about it, and she said, yeah, people are taking advantage of me. They're expecting this free homemade and well-decorated baked goods. And I will tell you from firsthand experience, that sucks all the fun out of a hobby. I enjoy photography, but when people at school just started assuming that I would go photograph whatever little event they were having and give up my free time to go not only photograph it, but edit their damn photos, I put my foot down and said, no, I photograph what interests me. Of course, the superintendent made me yearbook advisor, so I've had to do more photography, but I also am now getting paid, so hey. But yeah, now I'm really behind on basketball pictures, and got people complaining. It's like, I'm doing it for free, so shut up. But anyway, she realized people were taking advantage of her, and as I said, that sucks all the fun out of a hobby. And friends and family often feel entitled. And yet at the same time, they're not going to go say, hey, Cousin Judy, you're a plumber. Come over to my house. The toilet's making a funny noise. Oh, Uncle Joe, you're a doctor. Could you look at this mole on my shoulder? They don't do that. Or your neighbor Pierre does calligraphy. Oh, you love to do use those old pens. How about you do my wedding invitations? There's only 324 of them. You wouldn't do that to a professional. Why would you do that to a hobbyist? You just assume because they like baking when the mood strikes them that, oh, they'll like baking just for you. Not true. I enjoy photography. I really don't want to go up to the elementary school and photograph your elementary class's little reading circle. I'm not interested. I don't teach the kids. I mean, I probably will in like 10 years or something, but I don't teach them right now. I don't know them. It means absolutely nothing to me, and I'd just rather not. Plus, they don't buy yearbooks, so I kind of limit how many photographs of them I take. So, where I'm headed with this is the last few weeks, I was starting to feel that way with pens in use. And I will tell you exactly why. I have a job. Pens in use doesn't make me a whole lot of money. This whole channel doesn't make me a whole lot of money. You saw in the video my little Lamy 2000. I've got a little a 1930s Mont Blanc, and down the road you're going to see a Diplomat. Yeah, I've gotten a few nice pens using the money from this channel, but it really doesn't pay the bills. I will be on the streets if I try living off of this channel. So yeah, it's nice to get a little bit of money for it, but it's really just a hobby. I spend more on this channel than I make, to be honest. So I was starting to feel that way with pens in use. I got part of one writing sample done this past weekend, and then I'm just like, and I just quit. And, the reason was I've had a lot of things going on after school. I've had a lot of things where I am late at the school, and then I'm supposed to come home and film. Well, I don't feel like it. It's not fun. So, yeah, when it's not fun, why do it? This is a hobby. This is not a business. And I've looked at the numbers on the biggest fountain pen channels. None of them are making money at this. They're not making a living. You can't make living doing fountain pen videos. Other things, yes, but not fountain pen videos. And even the other things, you got to be super lucky along with really talented. So, I just haven't been doing them. The pen videos that you've seen, I've been able to do them because they were mostly done. I just had to record a little commentary, like the Lamy 2000 video you saw this week. Which, by the way, it turned out that the new microphone I was trying wasn't what recorded it, because I was recording it on this, and yeah, it was this thing's microphone, not the new microphone. So I still haven't figured out how to get that to work. But anyway, where I was headed with that, this happens to me every year, this time of year where I'll miss videos, or I'm just rushing and don't have my heart in and just hurry to get things done just so I can have the video done, and oh yeah, now I gotta go do my school stuff. And I thought, Matt Armstrong always used to take off, I forget, a few months back when he was still doing videos. I don't need to take off a few months, but I always know there's a stretch of January and February where I am stuck at school a lot of nights, multiple nights a week, and fitting in these videos just doesn't work. So what I'm thinking is maybe next year, if I remember, we're just going to call a little hiatus to the channel. Doesn't mean I won't record videos, especially having no schedule pressure. Maybe I'll feel the need when I get a little free time during that hiatus to record. And it would be a hiatus of about a month or so. Nothing more than that. Just to get me through that busy period that is just so hard to handle at all my obligations. This week is busy, but actually my busiest day this week is Saturday. So this works. I'm getting this done on a Tuesday, actually. And anyway, that's what's going to happen. Nothing's been wrong with me. It's just busy. To me, pens in use is kind of informal. Yes, there's always I go through the pens that I've been using. But then I either say something horribly controversial and get some viewers pissed off at me, or, I find something funny. Like, I thought the furry thing was, well, both funny and serious. It's just kind of a fun chance to share about pens and be informal about something light or serious, and, it's a way to relax from my job. But sometimes my job has me so busy that when I do get a little free time, I rather read a book or use my pens rather than talk about them. So I think next year, I'll announce it, but there's just going to be a brief hiatus. I might use the shorts every week just to say, hey, still here, still on hiatus, found a fun pen. But I think that's just something I need to do for my own sanity next year. Because I just, every year, I think, oh my God, I don't want to do another pen video. And it's always this time of year. Yes, other times a year I'll have like a busy week. I have a busy couple of days right at the wrong time. But it's just this particular part of the year, I have too many after school and weekend obligations. So I'll know better. And the rest of February, much nicer, much easier. Because that busy period is over. So there will be a pens in use next week, unless something horrible happens, but there will be one. And yeah, just that stretch here that can't do it. So anyway, to bring it back to the baker thing, I just wanted to mention this particular baker's solution was a little different than mine. This particular baker's solution, she would say no. I can't, or I'm busy. Oh, come on. It's for little Johnny. You know, Johnny loves you. You're like his favorite aunt. And he'd love to see your little basketball cake. So, she got tired of telling people no multiple times. So she started charging $150 an hour, minimum of 3 hours of work. Because she said, if I'm going to spend time doing this, it's got to make up for the time working at my real job. And that made people mad. That's way too much. That's unrealistic. You're asking her to give up her time, her free time, to do a service for you that she doesn't have time to do, doesn't want to do. Apparently a lot of family were upset with her for doing this. But she's doing it because they wouldn't take no for an answer. So I just thought, that's an interesting solution. I don't know how I would charge you for doing pen videos in that later part of January, first part of February, but, if I had to do them. So, I just think that's where I'm at. And I thought that was a interesting solution. And it makes sense. If I want to, if your class does something cool, and I know they're kindergartners, I don't know the kindergartners, but doggone, that's cool, I want to take pictures of that. I'll do it. But I'm not going to do it because, he takes pictures of everything. No, because he doesn't get paid to take pictures of everything and then sit at home processing the pictures. I've pulled out of photographing a lot of things. I do enjoy sports photography, but there's a game tonight, and here I am at home. I skipped the game because you know what? Got a game again later this week, so if I want to get some sports photography, I'll do it then. I want to get some other stuff done. Like I got some electronic stuff I got to write, and this to edit, and a book I want to finish, and book reviews to film, and a whole pile of letters that I'm behind on. If you're one of my pen pals, you know how behind I am, but I'm going to work on getting those out. And again, they got to be fun. If they're work, then it's just like, got to write a damn letter. Don't want that. I want it to be fun. So, moral of the story. First of all, back to the furry thing. Fact check. Especially if you see it on social media, but even if you see it in regular media. Fact check. You don't have to be the first one to report it. Maybe take a minute and say, that's kind of doesn't make sense. Or, that just sounds too good to be true. Ask a few questions. Get some specifics. And then you're a lot less likely to be embarrassed if you do share it. And then the other thing is, if you're a hobbyist, it's your hobby. It's something you do for fun. It's something you do to relax. If people are making it into a demand, if it's starting to feel like a job or drudgery or a chore, it's no longer a hobby. It's no longer fun. Say no. Set boundaries. And with some people, sorry to say, you might have to get creative. Like this woman on Reddit did, if she even exists. So I shared the story, not because I know whether it's true or not, but because the larger theme is true. Yes, we do experience that thing where our relatives take advantage of us and just expect us to contribute because you're family and I'm like your uncle or I'm your nephew or whatever. And we do things for our family. I asked my mother to do a favor for me this past fall, which I'll need to get permission from her to share with you, but it was a wonderful piece of artwork. She was willing to do it. I hope she was willing to say no if she didn't want to. So I might have been guilty of it too. But anyway, the point is, if it's a hobby, it's fun. When it starts to become a chore, it's not fun. So be willing to say no. And if you're going to ask somebody a favor, make sure it's rare and you don't take them for granted. So, anyway, I want to thank you for watching. And if videos like this interest you, where I talk about fountain pens both new and old and at all price points, I would invite you to subscribe. And hey, got stuff to add about the fact-checking? Or do you have stuff to add about the hobby and the, well, we expect people to. You like making clothes, so of course you want to make my daughter's prom dress. Well, let us know down in the comments. So I want to thank you for watching, and yes, I'm back. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.